Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening to the Kenyan brothers and sisters and those ones in the African region, and good morning in the US. We are back here on stage. We are a little bit too late. Apologies for that. For the technical issues, we're trying to get our moderator here, but we are always set, people. Diaspora, we are always ready. Exactly. So I'm hoping you're all here. Let us know whether you've joined us on the stage. Write to us, whether you can hear us. Say hello, hi, tell us where you're listening from so that we can get started. Apologies for the delays. I can see here. Wow, that is great. That's from Pamela. Write to us in the chat whether you can hear us so that we are ready for you. I have already the main guest here, and very, very excited to be on this topic of today. As I introduce them, they will get started as we wait for the moderator to get us off. And the topic for today is AU's Agenda 2063 and diaspora mainstreaming. Yes, the topic is quite interesting for today. And I'm going to let my guests here to introduce themselves as they come in. And I'll start with Honorable we don't have two of the guests are already coming in, so we're gonna start with Mr. Mamadou Cisse, and then follow up with Dr. Kalu at the end, so that we can all get started. So I know you have presentation for today as well. As you can see, we have a sign language person here with us. I hope you can see her well, and for those people who can also benefit in the communication. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Cisse, and please introduce yourself, and now also go ahead and start the topic of today and present yourself with your topic for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Amadou Cisse. I work for the African Union. Actually, currently, I'm heading the African Institute for Remittances, which, as you know, is a remittance that is an institute that deals with diaspora and some related issues, which are remittances. As you know, the African Union has a very large, a very big program on remittances that on diaspora in general and remittances in particular. So, if you don't mind, I would like here presenting. Guess that is yes, and then so the African Union Agenda 2063 and diaspora mainstreaming. This is a very interesting topic and a very relevant topic with regard to the work of the African Union and with regard to the vision of the African Union when it comes to the issues related to the diaspora. As we know, African Union has developed his Agenda 2063, which is a document that defines in the Africa that we want in 2063. It was designed some years back, and at that time, we wanted to have our own narrative for Africa's development. And in this Agenda 2063, you have so many issues that are discussed pertaining to the development of the of the continent. But let me just highlight a few things that are related to the diaspora. You will see from the beginning, the African Union is very clear with regard to Africa and the diaspora. And we consider the Africa and the diaspora as one. In the voice of the African people, it is very clear right at the beginning, African Union is saying, we the people of Africa and her diaspora. It means that Africa cannot be defined without her diaspora. Further, in terms of aspiration, in terms of the few aspirations that we have in the African Agenda 2063, in the Africa as part of aspiration 2, we have there the links that we have that the African Union want to have with the diaspora, and then these links are to have dynamic and mutual beneficial links with the diaspora, with her diaspora, it means that the African Union considers the diaspora as a partner and as partner that we can link with in a mutual beneficial links. And this has a lot of very big importance, because if you are gathered today and we are looking at the contribution of the diaspora, it's mainly to look at the contribution of the diaspora to development. The whole issue today is to deal with development. What is development? We won't discuss this issue of development. Rather, we are going to see, having a same understanding, assuming that we have the same understanding of development, the kind of development that we want, what would be the contribution of the diaspora to this development? Is it a relevant question? Yes, it is. Because if you look at development, it has a lot of issues that are related. Development needs job. Development needs revenue, needs resources. And development without the people, without revenue for the people, is not the development, the kind of development that we are at the African Union trying to achieve. And development has job and revenue has its impact on the real economy, the financial sector, and the social impact, and would definitely have social impact. And it is in these linkages among the different sectors that we are looking at the contribution of the diaspora. Yes, have in all sectors, whether it is financial contribution. Unfortunately, when we talk about the contribution of the diaspora, we always highlight only the financial contribution, but we also have non-negligible, non-financial contribution. And at the Institute, we are looking at, yes, the financial contribution, but also non-financial contribution of the diaspora. When it comes to remittance, we have different dimensions, but let me just focus on the financial contribution. Why is that important? Like I said, we had the starting point would be job and revenue creation. And the contribution of the diaspora to these issues is mainly through the remittances. And diaspora is, as we all know, one of the, let's say, the result of migration. Without migration, we won't be talking about diaspora. And these four elements come together to show us that remittance, that diaspora has its role to play, because if we are just looking at the financial contribution of the diaspora, this financial contribution contribute to the household, the revenue of the household, and also would let will increase the financial capabilities of our household or of our citizens to invest and really to create job and to provide revenue for all things. But where do we stand today when it comes to this contribution of the diaspora? Africa for 2019 received almost more than $80 billion US dollars. If the diaspora was just a nation, this contribution would be more than the GDP, the GDP of more than 25% of the African countries. In a nutshell, if we consider the diaspora as one, and at the African Union, we consider this diaspora as the 6th region of the African Union. If we consider them as one country, only one country, their contribution in terms of remittance, financial remittance, and not even the other types of remittances, this contribution would be more than the GDP, the gross domestic product of more than 25% of the African countries, which is very, very important. In terms of population, it's almost 35 million migrants that we have out there, including the diaspora. And this, if it was a country, it would be more than many African countries in terms of population. This shows the potential contribution, the impact of the contribution that the diaspora could have on the African development. But nowadays, as your theme is suggesting, we have some challenges with regard to the remittance of the diaspora. We have some challenges with regard to the world where we are living in terms of remittance. And if we had to really do a word cloud, as it is shown here, whatever we have in the newspapers, internet, radio, magazines, and so, definitely the word cloud, the outcome would be something like this, where coronavirus would be the most highlighted word. And this has impact in all kind of sectors, mainly with regard when it comes to the diaspora, and also the impacts of the diaspora, which is telling us that we have to draw some lessons from this crisis and to see, and this is the relevance of this topic, how would it be possible to leverage diaspora resources, not only remittances, but all the resources that are available out there that the diaspora people can offer to the continent. How can we leverage all these for Africa's economic recovery post-COVID-19? But it's not only economic recovery, but social recovery, because when you have some social relationships that were broken because of the COVID-19, we have to look at it, all those things together. As we know, the first thing would be really to supplement the resources that African countries has. Many household people have lost, households have lost. Some have lost their jobs. Some have lost the financial support or the non-financial support that they used to have. Where do we stand today as Africa in terms of the contribution? In many countries on the continent, remittance have increases during this crisis, but in some others it has decreased. What about the case of Kenya? In the case of Kenya, we haven't noticed any sharp decrease when it comes to remittances, because people used to send remittance through formal channels, though we have informal channels, and those channels were available during this crisis, while in many countries, those who used to send remittance through non-official channels, they faces a lot of challenges to be able to support their families back home. And for us at the Institute, we do believe that if you want to leverage the remittance for social and economic development, there are some issues that together we have to look into, and some issues that together we have to work on. The first issue at the continent level, it is the issue of cost. And this is part of the global agenda on remittances. As you all know, we have the SDGs, which, I would like to highlight here the SDG 10C, that has specific targets on the cost of remittances. Africa is the continent, the most expensive place to send money to, from wherever you are. Even within the continent, if you want to send money to another country, in many cases, the cost of remittance is far higher than whatever you could have in any other corridor across the world. This is an issue. If it is not addressed, it would be difficult for African countries to leverage remittances, because you won't be able to trace, you won't be able to monitor flows that are going through the informal channels. It is very difficult. And even if we are able to monitor them, it would be very difficult, challenging to be able to design any financial products, any viable strategies that would rely on those sources. And one of the main hindrance of financial flows of official flows, it is because the cost of remittances is too high. This has to be addressed through many things. First, it is the regulation. We are happy to have in Kenya a very sound regulation when it comes to remittances. It's not the case in all African countries. The other thing is incentives. These are some policies, some solutions that we can have, but it is only in the short term. The other thing is, what kind of private sector do we have? Do we have, in terms of remittance link financial products, do we have the private sector that is ready to leverage on that, to propose some financial products and to propose some financial literacy programs for those who are beneficiaries of the remittances? If you want to leverage remittance for development, and if you want to get the more out of our flows, financial flows that we get from our diaspora, it is important that we address these issues. But more importantly, it is to have some cross-cutting policies that are addressing the needs of those who send remittance, the diaspora people. What are their needs, and how do we think that it is best to engage them in all sectors? In many African countries, we have diaspora that are now in the parliament. In many African countries, we have some policies, some directorates that are devoted to the needs of the diaspora. This is the case in Kenya. This is the case in other countries, and it comes to institutions that are built for diaspora. Just to say that the prerequisites, I would say, are there. But what about the implementation of the policies? What about the design and the implementation of the policies, design with the diaspora and implementation with the diaspora? I would not want to take more of your time. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you some few thoughts when it comes to remittances. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Amadou Cisse. Thank you for the presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yes, very well. Thank you for coming on. Thank you. Mr. Macaulay, how are you? Dr. Kalu?
I am doing great. I'm doing great. Very well. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being part of this important discussion and session today. And we welcome you to this program. As one of the policy officers for the AU 6th region in Canada, I know, so a lot of work that you've been doing over the years and everything. So to follow up from Mr. Amadou Cisse, do you see that the remittance, the remittance in terms of money going into the continent playing a big role in the development of Africa as a whole?
Yes, of course. It's really playing a big role. Interestingly, I mean, sometimes we just talk about the remittances based on, the measured, monitored, or seen funds that go through the remittances, but also we have the indirect remittances that go through. For example, when you, as a diasporan, travel, you don't disclose whether it's $1,000, $2,000, and all that, which a lot of money also go through the process of diasporans traveling into the continent with a lot of money that are not measured as well. So we talk about 80 billion, for just last year or over that. Just didn't think about how much more when you have, for example, this holiday period that a lot of people are coming into the continent because of the holidays. Most of the money they are coming in to families and friends and projects and all that are not measured. So the diaspora is really contributing a lot financially. That should be really looked into, and it's a big part of what is really sustaining this continent economically.
Oh, very well, very well. At one time, there used to be foreign exchange, which means you could send dollars, pounds, euros into the continent. But now that a lot of countries are converting the currency, do you see that still happening? Do you see that change happening, or the local currency is here to stay? The question is open to you, Mr. Amadou and Dr. Macaulay. Can you hear me? Okay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get your question because it was breaking up. Could you please come again?
I say yes. The remittances aspect, when people usually send money, it used to be foreign exchange until some countries made changes over the years. Do you see some countries going back to foreign exchange, or it's going to be local currency from here on this point? Sort of like when people send dollars back home. Yes.
Okay, thank you. The policies are a little bit different across the continent. We have some countries where they allow their citizens to have foreign currency accounts. In other countries, they don't. In the countries where you have these policies where they are open to their citizens to have dollar account, pound accounts, and all these things, those people can send remittance to their own account, and then it comes to remittances. But whatever it is, this is just a protection, but a short-term protection. In terms of, purchasing power and all these things, in terms of, money that is used, for example, in the market or whatever, you don't use that currency. What you are, at the end of the day, you'll have to exchange this money and to have the local currency for you to be able to trade, for you to be able to transact. This happens. In other countries, it's not possible for the resident, for their citizens to have foreign currencies. In these cases, when you send remittances through the bank channels, definitely when it comes to, you will have to get the money in the local currency. And that is something that people try to avoid, because sometimes you have a very big spread between the official rate and the parallel market. And then they would prefer to come with the dollar in hard currency and then get to the market and they get higher rate so that they can get more. Those are the different situations. But in the case of Kenya, where you have some, the policy is a little bit liberal, a little bit open, so the people have the option to send remittance to their dollar account. This is when it comes to remittance through the banking system. But most of the remittance are not sent through the banking system. They are sent through the money transfer operators, where you have to cash in or cash out the money. You have to cash out the money once it comes. And when it comes, definitely in many countries, in all countries, you have to cash out in the local currency. You don't cash out in the dollar account, and that is a little bit difficult. Different. So when it is the banking system, it is easier. But when it comes to the money transfer operators, you don't have. Most of them don't have any other options, whether it is a cash out or even if it goes to a e-wallet.
Thank you very much, Mr. Madu. Yes, thank you, Dr. Kalu. As the Agenda 2063, which was started around 2012, 2013, of course, it's a 50-year plan with a 10-year implementation. Do you see, this is actually the best, I was telling Dr. Kalu earlier when we spoke that I'm going to call it the black print instead of the blueprint. Yes, this is the first comprehensive documentation in pretty much in the history of the continent that puts everybody on the same page in driving the continent forward. Of course, as we know, it's a 50-year plan with a 10-year by 10-year implementation. Do you see, I know there's supposed to be a report in 2023 based on when it started in 2013. So far, where do you see things are at the moment, since we're just 3 years out from 2013? Where do you see, are some of the goals being accomplished? Are some still in progress? Everything. So where do you see things now with the AU Agenda 2063 so far? Thank you.
Okay. So as part of the African Union, as I said in my introduction, this institute is a part of it is a technical office of the African Union. So it is part of the implementation even of the Agenda 2063, as it try to concretize some of the ideas. What is difficult when it comes to the work of the African Union? It is that we design the policies and then we put there the enabling environment when it comes to harmonization of the policies. And what is key is the domestication of the Agenda 2063. How do the national countries, how do the countries align their national strategies to the common goal, to the common African Union Agenda 2063? Agenda 2063 is the development of the continent doesn't rely on really the African Union coming and do the job in the countries. It is the countries themselves to do that, and then to harmonize their policies through a common understanding of the African Union. Now, when it comes to the implementation, we have some flagship projects. It is the countries coming together and then implementing some projects that are of common interest for all the continent. And for those, I could say that we have a lot of progresses, mainly before the COVID-19 crisis. With the COVID-19 crisis, obviously, as so many institutions, the African Union is trying to adapt to itself to the new situation for that to still continue pushing further the agenda of the continent. If you look at those projects, it deals with, for example, silencing the guns and so and so. Yeah. And for those things, there are things that happen. You don't talk about that, but the fact that you have less conflicts around the continent is an indicator that something is happening and something positive is happening. If you look at the industrial program and all these things are happening, but it's not at the pace that people could really feel it on the day-to-day, unless that the countries themselves have a national policy that is aligned with the Agenda 2063. And this, I can say that many countries have such strategies. Many countries, in designing their medium plan development plans, they have tried to accommodate the objectives of the continent in general.
Thank you, Mr. Amblado. Dr. Kalu, yes. Agenda 2063, 10-year plan. Okay. I think just, yeah, we'll get Dr. Kalu back. We'll continue with the discussion. I think he just got signed up. You can still hear me, Mr. Modu? Mr. Cisse?
Yes, we got.
Okay, great. Excellent. Yes. And also, too, as the framework, industrialization, e-network, e-university, the plan is to have, of course, you're right, COVID-19 has pretty much played a role in keeping things back and everything. Do you still see things still accelerating or right on schedule? Or we just got to take it one day at a time? And also, too, with the Agenda 63, it highlights pretty much the health side of the continent in being part of the program. So do you see pretty much any delay in terms of moving, still continue with the agenda, despite the COVID-19 crisis?
Obviously, it is. I think everybody knows that we are not where we are expecting to be at this time, because we are experiencing some delays, and the reasons are very clear in terms of if you want to get the development, the kind of development that we are looking for, we have to have enough resources, and lack of resources has been one of the main main issues that African Union has to deal with. The other thing is that when things are new, people take time, countries take time to learn and to adapt to that. In many, I could say that in many sectors, we have registered some progress, but definitely at the pace that we want it to be. And the Africa that we want in 2023, which is the first step, I'm not sure that we'll be able to get it as easy as if we are going at the same pace, mainly with this. So it means that we have to be very realistic and then see that and understand that we as African Union and with our member states, we have to do more than we have been doing since, if we want to really have these these objectives, achieved at the time that they are set for.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalu. Yes. Yeah, Dr. Kalu, are you there? Yeah, it was just on a few seconds ago. Yeah, Dr. Kalu, are you on? Dr. Kalu. Dr. Kalu, are you muted? Dr. Kalu, are you muted? Okay. I think he's having some connection issues. Yeah.
Yes, it looks like.
Exactly. Exactly. Nice. We'll just give it a few seconds so we could. Okay. He's coming back on now. Yeah. Hello, Dr. Kalu. Yes. Technology liberates, but we'll keep the show going. Yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Kalu?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Yes. Your thoughts, everything on the question that I asked, your work in Canada, Diaspora, everything. Just, yes, the floor is yours.
Yeah, can you repeat the question, because it just was cutting off, and then the last time I wanted to ask.
Okay, sure. My question was, 2023 is supposed to be the first comprehensive report of the Agenda 2063 since it was launched in 2013. But due to the COVID-19 crisis and everything, do you see any sort of like pretty much timetable report on where things are based on the 50-year, 10-year implementation plan? Based on where things are so far. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, it's really not been easy. I think there's kind of a little bit of, I'll call it a misunderstanding to a certain degree of the whole full essence of the Agenda 2063. Because why I say that is that some countries are very passionate about it and they promote it, they understand it, and so many other countries have no clue about the Agenda 2063. I travel across Africa and I talk about Agenda 2063, and even some diplomats, they have no idea what I'm talking about. Some of them have heard it as a document, but they've never read it. They've not even looked at it. So when, I think on our side from the African, I know we've done what we could, but I don't think we've done enough in promoting the document itself. The first 2 years, there were a lot of hype about it. A lot of things were done, talking about it, 2024, a lot about the Agenda 2063 and all that. But I think we slowed down on the aspect of promoting this. I mean, I'm in Nigeria, for example, right now. Almost every sector I go, I talk about Agenda 2063. 80% of the people have no idea what I'm talking about. And so, really, to me, is a big concern. It really is a concern, because I do talk about, I'm like, how do we get the Africa we want when the one document that we have that shows a roadmap as a continent, we have no clue, what it's about. This is a program that I think should be taught in the schools. It should be in the curriculum to discuss this agenda, because it covers every aspect and sectors of who we are as a people. So I believe that a lot of work needs still to be done. I don't think we need to, cover that part. Personally, I don't want to cover it up to say, oh, we're doing great and all that. In some areas, yes, a lot of work. The AU is doing a lot. Like some of us, based on activities that are being done, every time we do presentations, everything centers around the Africa we want. Every policy comes around. I mean, of course, it makes no sense. You can't do anything outside of the Agenda 2063 from the AU perspective. So we do what we can to make sure that all the consultation programs, activities, workshops, seminars, all centered around the Agenda 2063. But, I think more work needs to be done, so that individual countries could promote it, could work with the African Union in making sure that we achieve this Agenda 2060, the African Union.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Kalu. Yes, information, knowledge is power. And I think as the best black print that we've had, roadmap to actualizing the Africa we want, information, public relations, and everything need to be added to it. So that way the continent and people of Africa can know what's going on and the development that's taking place. So time is about to wrap up. So I'm going to get the final thoughts from Mr. Amadou Cissé and you, Dr. Kalu. Yeah, your final thoughts, Mr. Cissé. Thank you very much as we wrap up.
Well, thank you so much. I would like to really thank you and also the organizers for this. It's not the first time. It's not my first homecoming because I'm based in Kenya. We have been privileged to be hosted by the government in Kenya, and then we have been privileged to be working in very good conditions here, and then with the Diaspora affairs and so. But I think this is an initiative that shows that really some countries, specific country, Kenya, they are concerned with what the diaspora could bring into bring to the country, and this is, I think, part of the implementation of it contributes to the achievement of the African Union, the African Union's vision. Now, in terms of you've said it in terms of information and so and so. Sometimes it's not very easy to get everybody knowing what is happening when it comes to the Agenda 2063. But I would like to close with a very, very positive note when it comes to Agenda 2063 and the awareness of the programs of the Agenda 2063. Let me just give you one thing. The AU budget wants to be approved by the member states if each and every line is aligned with the Agenda 2063, meaning that even any country that is coming to look at their contribution to the AU functioning AU programs, it is only if it is aligned with the Agenda 2063. Nothing outside that could be considered as a priority for the African Union and for the African Union member states. The other thing is that even the partnerships that we have with our partners, it is mainly in terms of contribution to the achievement of the objectives of the Agenda 2063. Like I said, now, you may have the best tools, but we need something to make things happen at the national levels, which is the financing. And this is something that is very critical, and then we should not overlook that side, that if we want to be where we want to be, we have to put the resources that needs to be put for us to really achieve the objectives that we have set for ourselves. Thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Mr. Amadou Cissé. Dr. Kalu, your final thoughts too, as we wrap up. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Sober. This is really amazing. Once again, just like what Mr. Cissé said, that I was going to mention that as well, based on the fact that on that aspect, the heads of state look into that aspect, that everything we do is in line with the Agenda 2063. Nevertheless, more work needs to be done. We are not where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. So things are getting better. And, we're very happy that the African Union Commission, like people like CC on the remittance, which he talks about, and the commissions, the commissions are doing quite a lot in promoting the Agenda 2063. And we really are looking forward that, the individual countries will continue that drive and promote, the agenda itself is going to help all of us. So a lot of work has been done. We've achieved quite a lot. If we can concentrate and focus on what we've already agreed, just like you said, not just the blueprint, the black print. If we can look into that and focus on what we have at hand, I think, we will surely see the Africa we want. So we're very excited. For some of us, is what is guiding us is that to be the Africa we want. So once again, I thank all the organizers, and I thank the participants. I thank you as moderator and all that. It's been a wonderful time, wonderful section. We're very excited what is happening, and surely Africa is rising to be, who and what is meant to be. So I'm excited about that, and I'm happy that I have part to play, and I'm doing what I can to contribute to that. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think we've lost Mr. Benga. I think we've lost him, but thank you so much. I can see a lot of comments coming up down here, and appreciate all your presentation today. And as I hope we can get him back, but the time is up. I can read some from Shem. Here, actually, it is the mandatory of the AU ECOSOC to popularize agendas 2063 among the people of Africa and her diaspora. That's very true. Hopefully this will be a major agenda item at the upcoming third General Assembly of the ECOSOC. Kenya Diaspora Alliance represent East African region at the AU ECOSOC. Thank you for putting that there on a copy. And very good when we receive comments from your side and contribution as you're hearing. Thank you so much for this insightful conversation, excellent contribution to making Agenda 2063 as well. And Victoria mentioned there. Thank you so much for the sharing the information. Thank you so much. And I'm going to close this session. Despite we had a really lovely, I think we're happy we had a very good session here with less technical issue, and we're looking forward to see you again. And then next year, who knows on which area? I think will be one of the areas we'll not mention. They will mention us where we'll be meeting up next. And I wish you a good evening as we bring in the next panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to the next session, and they're all set here for the discussion. And I can see all the speakers are lined up here to get started. And thank you for all of you who are listening us and making contribution to this conversation of today. So the next topic we are going up is economic emancipation of Black Lives Matter movement. Sorry about that. And we're looking forward to have our guests of honors who are here ready. And we're going to take a short break, and we'll be coming back shortly.
Anne and Alfred are trying to get him at the backstage at the moment. So I don't know if you can wait.
Yes, we can wait, of course. Of course, we have to wait. I really don't want to moderate anymore. I'm really. I'll go prepare
also,
for
we
it.
lost Mr. Viv.
Yes, we don't have him.
He was
in the queue. Let him refresh the page again, and he'll just appear here because I think we had already approved him.
Yeah, he was looking for the session.
And how many are you? How many are you?
Bernard, could you mute yourself?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh no.